Hey everybody, my name is Paul Eston Jr., aka Boy Green. I'm the New York Jets digital reporter for Heavy.com. We are streaming live simultaneously in 3 different places. The Heavy on Jets Facebook page, Happy Victory Monday to all you crazy New York Jet fans out there. On YouTube.com/BoyGreen25, and of course on the Twitter account, @BoyGreen25 as well. If you'd like to get involved, feel free to do so. This is an interactive show. Every Monday, I am joined by Jets insider Will Parkinson. He is the host of the TOJ podcast. If you guys have questions, comments, topics, throw them at us. And we also have a few things we have to get off our checklist, including another troubling injury, bummer news, and why it may be a bigger deal than some fans may know in terms of the name value with it. We'll talk about that. And all of a sudden, a wide open AFC East? Zoinks? Perhaps. And we'll get to all that here on the show today. So without further ado, let's bring in my co-host for every Monday episode. That man's name is Will Parkinson. Will, welcome to the program, my friend.
Happy Victory Monday, my man.
Absolutely. And we got to savor all of these because, again, it was funny, Robert. I'll tweet out the clip later from the Michael K. show, but Robert Saleh was asked, I think it was Michael who asked him and kind of said, come on, straight up, coach, were you expecting 6-3? Like in your wildest dreams, could that have been possible? He's like, well, I don't know if anyone would have predicted that. So, just saying that, like, how crazy this is. And again, I think it's everyone's job to make sure that they savor everyone's job, quote unquote, to savor all these because you never know how many you're going to get. This is a magical season. I think you just got to, grab this thing by the haunches and enjoy it. I think that's the key to all of this.
Yeah, look, I thought they would be much better than people thought. I thought 8-9, 9-8 maybe. They're on track to be a 10 or 11 win football team, if not more at this point. Yesterday was big. Yesterday was a big game. I think I don't think I did this or any of us did this, but nationally, pick holes in a lot of their wins. Russell Wilson, while he was playing poorly, is out, or the Pittsburgh game, they're not very good. And at the time, the Green Bay game felt bigger than, maybe it was because obviously they've fallen apart since then. Cleveland game was a miracle. Miami's missing a quarter. Like, go on and on. Zach Wilson has as bad of a game as you can humanly possibly have last week. Here we go. Like, fun first 5, wins. They'll fall back down to earth. And then they beat the best team, quote unquote, in the NFL. They make the best quote unquote quarterback in the NFL look awful.
Mm-hmm.
Also, something to monitor. I know we're going to talk about the Jets in the AFC East. Josh Allen elbow injury seems a lot bigger than I think people are saying. For them to come out and say we need another 24 hours to figure out, to me means something's got to be. I mean, normally, Jets knew right away with Sheldon Rankins was an elbow injury.
Right.
That's it. I mean, it's a really big deal. That's a yesterday statement win. Zach was fine, responded well, and they were a half game out of first place through 9 weeks, going to a bye week, and they have a chance to avenge their worst loss of the season in 13 days. And they have a winnable game at home against Chicago. Minnesota's very good. It's still a game they can compete in. I just think you learned yesterday, if you didn't think it already, the Jets can beat anybody in the league. Again, they're a team that can be beat by anybody. Obviously, you've seen in whatever.
Well, yes, yeah.
Their 3 losses are to all 3 teams that would be either in the playoffs or barely miss out so far. It's not like they've lost to bad teams and whatever. They've got some good wins. They've beaten everyone. I think in hindsight they were supposed to. They beat the Bills, and having their losses with backup quarterbacks to Cincinnati and Baltimore, and last week, obviously New England get a chance to avenge it. Big win though on yesterday, and at the end of the day. 6-3 going into the bye, and they feel really good where they're at.
Yeah, let me go there because I tweeted that out this morning because right before I head off to the radio station, which is about 45 minutes to an hour because people want to know my commute time. When I woke up, I'm like, let me send this out and I'll head over to the radio station. And by then it had gotten a lot of reaction, and that was this. So I was hearing from Bills fans all week. We had the great Sal Capaccio, sideline reporter for the Buffalo Bills. He was fantastic on the show last week. And I had heard it from other Bills fans that the Bills had a couple of injuries that were up in the air at the time that I was talking to Sal. Matt Milano was up in the air. Tre'Davious White obviously was up in the air. And Von Miller at the time, we're like, oh, maybe a surprise injury here. Maybe just get lucky again after him missing a couple days of practice. He ultimately played and had a huge impact in the game, of course. But he brought it up, as did Bills fans, saying, do we really even need these guys against the Jets? And I just went, noted. Okay, do they even need Matt Milano, who's playing at the All-Pro level? Tre'Davious White, who's one of the best corners in all of football when he's playing, and Von Miller, obviously, no words need to be spoken about him. So I heard that, and I went, okay, noted. The Bills think that this could be, and maybe rightfully so, with how the Bills have performed recently and their expectation and everything, that maybe we don't even need these guys. This could be, if we can win without these guys being healthy, then that's a great bonus week. It's like an extra bye week for us. So they were saying that. So the Jets end up beating the Bills, and I started getting chatter from those same Bills fans saying, well, you guys only won because of the injuries. So I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. Whoa, T.O., baby, time out. You don't get to say on one side, well, I don't know if we need them. Whoa, no, you only won because of the injuries. Oh, hell no. That ain't happening up in here. Oh, hell no. AVT, Corey Davis, Breece Hall, shut the flying hoot up. There's none of that nonsense going on here with injuries this, injuries that, because I will tell you, Will, that I had the same reaction, that a flood of emotions came over me after the Jets won this game because it was a sense of validation. Like, again, I will take the wins however they come, and I've been mentioning that throughout the year because you never know. Winning is freaking hard. So winning any of these games, we had one winning season the last 11 years. I don't give a flying hoot if everyone's injured and they just win them all, and people go, I'm not so sure about the Jets. I'm like, well, I don't give a flying hoot what you're sure about. Check the record, pal. But I have to tell you that there was this voice in the back of my head that kept going, well, all those people keep telling you, backup quarterbacks, lucky, bull, nonsense, this, and to go out and beat the MVP favorites, Super Bowl favorites, and punch them in the mouth. It's not like some fluky nonsense happened. That Jets defense gave them the business all gosh darn day long. And I got to tell you, man, that it just felt good to have that sense of validation really coming off. I'm not sure if the Jets people needed it. They said it wasn't a surprise inside that building. But for all of us, it just felt good to shut all those gosh darn bastards up.
Yeah, I mean, I tweeted out after and got some funny responses. I said, what's the excuse going to be this time?
Yeah, well.
Look, the Bills are missing some starters. Full stop. All that's true. The Jets are missing their best offensive weapon. The Jets were missing probably one of their most expensive right tackle, left tackle, whatever you want to call it. Their rookie right tackle who took over for their, already backup right tackle, who was the backup to the other backup right tackle, also out. AVT, all-pro lineman, out. Corey Davis, their most expensive and probably their number one receiver, out. Sheldon Rankins gets hurt, basically misses the entire game, out. Mm-hmm. CJ Mosley misses time during the game, also got hurt. DJ Reed almost got hurt. Quentin Williams almost got I just don't I'm not doing that. You're supposed to be. They were a 2-touchdown favorite even with those guys missing. So the excuses are getting a little old. Yeah. I understand there's a reason why people the all Jet stuff. It's annoying. I get it. Self-inflicted by the Jets.
That's true too. Yeah.
But at the end of the day, the Jets punched the Bills in the mouth. They won the football game. They were clearly the better team on Sunday. And the Jets are now a half game out of first place and have beaten both Miami and Buffalo, which neither of the other have done. No one's, the only team that's beaten the Jets in the division is the Patriots. I'm getting a little sick of every single week. There's another excuse. What's the excuse this week was the injuries, and Sauce Gardner got away with pass interference.
Oh, yeah.
Gabe Davis pushed off that whole play as well. Sauce is a physical corner. I just don't care. Josh Allen had 4 turnovers that didn't count because the Jets didn't fall on the football, or because Jordan Whitehead got pelted in the face with a Josh Allen fastball and didn't catch it at one. You know what I mean? So I'm just not going to do the excuse making the NFL. Anything can happen. The Jets, the 2 penalties that probably could have cost the Jets the game last week, the roughing the passer and a late hit on Mac Jones are held head-to-head. The Bills got away with on Sunday. It was clearly roughing the passer on Zach Wilson, which he gets banged up. It's a huge play. Salah said it himself. They were going to go for it on that 4th down. If they get it, that's a huge deal. And Zach Wilson on the 2-yard line with 2 minutes to go. The Bills have now burned all of their timeouts, or about to burn their last one. Gets annihilated in the face by, as a runner.
Good Lord.
And there's no flag. And again, it was great yesterday. Very little flags. All that's fine. Could be a bit difference in the game. The Jets, the Bills don't even get a chance to throw the ball there at the end of the game. So Jets are the better team. The Jets have, frankly, been just as good of a team through 8 or 9 weeks at this point. It's concerning if you're a Bills fan. They don't win close games, and this is becoming a trend now. It's a trend with Josh Allen. That's something to keep an eye on. The Jets seem to win a lot of these close games, but look, the receipts things, and it's great. You do it. A bunch of people put together the clips and all that stuff is awesome. Jets are just a really good football team. I think that's it.
Yeah.
They're at home. They were a 5-3 football team coming off a bad loss. The Bills should have been favored, but the Bills were not 2 touchdowns better. We found that out quickly. We'll find out again. I think the Jets are going to handily beat the Patriots in 2 weeks' time.
Oh yeah.
Look, there's a very real chance they could be 8-3 going into Minnesota, who could be 8-2, 9-2, 10-1 in that game. So, end of the day, Jets won, Bills lost, and you had the best quarterback in football. You should feel confident you can win any game, minus missing one off-ball linebacker.
100%. And Will, again, we're speaking with Will friggin' Parkinson. Look at that handsome stud and those golden locks peeking out of that snapback. I mean, follow the man at Will Pa 11 for all the juicy deets. Of course, he's also the host of the award-winning TOJ podcast that is widely acclaimed. So make sure you show your love. And again, guys, if you'd like to find a free way to contribute to this show, which is every Monday where we have Will on the show, like the video, hit subscribe down below. It's absolutely free to do. And if you got a little change in your pocket, you want to throw it over and get some shout outs on the show, the YouTube Super Chat feature is available to all of you who are watching on the YouTube. Feel free to do that. That is available for each and every one of you. And Will, you hinted at it there, and I would be remiss if I didn't mention the reason why the headline of this video is AFC East race wide open. You may say, wow, okay, Jets 6-3, Bills 6-2. Yeah, but in theory, it is wide open. That is one reason why I say it's wide open. Again, the Jets have headed tiebreakers both over the Dolphins and Bills. As you mentioned, neither of those guys have it. The Jets have the most wins in the entire conference, tied with the Chiefs and the Bills and the Dolphins and all these teams. But I think the real key there is the Josh Allen injury. And yes, I'm seeing this in the comments section from 19 NYJ 69. Yes, on the Bryce Huff strip sack where he came over like a gosh darn behemoth. They were talking about that on the Great Badlands episode post-game last night. And I also saw the John Cena video that Will Parkinson shared with Brock Lesnar coming out as the closer for Bryce Huff. And I'll share another clip. There's a great clip from the NFL Stock Exchange where Trevor and Connor were talking about Bryce Huff coming out as this like unbelievable, like Undertaker, Gong, Stone Cold Steve Austin action. I'll share that a little bit later. But that's the key, because I'm going to be honest, folks, I'm going to harken back to old Tom Brady against the Kansas City Chiefs, clutches down, grabs his leg, blows out his ACL a few years ago. That's when some Matt Castle guy came in. And that was Brett Favre's year, of course, and everything else. And the Dolphins ended up winning that division on a tiebreaker. The Patriots were 11-5 that year. I don't care who's playing. Sorry, if Josh Allen goes down, sorry. I'm not going to feel bad. No tears, no smallest violin in the world, maybe a little bit of that action. If Bills go down and they only have half a game, like, I don't think there's a quarterback that is more valuable to their entire team, and he's like the reason that you are favored and you're everything to Davis Webb, Matt Barkley. I don't even know who the gosh darn backup even is in Buffalo. It's not Mitch Trubisky. I would have to look up the Bills roster. I don't even know. But the point is that all of a sudden, whoa, Bills no longer favorito. That's because the Jets would have beat their Patuki, as they already did. New England, you have a chance here. So the Patriots and Jets have the same bye week. So they have the same advantage as we've talked about earlier heading into this week. If the Patriots sweep the Jets, of course, they're in a phenomenal position. Jets dropped to 6-4. Patriots also at 6-4, and they swept the Jets. So they've got a clear path to the end. However, if the Jets beat New England, they chew up New England. They achieve to 7-3. Patriots drop down to 5-5. Now, that's a massive gap. And then whatever's happening with Josh Allen, which we don't know. So all of a sudden, it gets pretty tasty. And as I mentioned on the postgame show, the New York Jets have not won the division since 2002, and Check's notes, that was about 20 years ago. So it may be time for the Jets to win the division, have a home playoff game. I mean, Will, are we getting too crazy here? Should we be sipping the Kool-Aid, start passing around? Because I'm going to be honest, half a game, I don't feel like we're grasping at straws here. There's a clear path, a questionable Josh Allen injury. I don't know. It feels like it's all in front of the New York gosh darn Jets.
I think the expectations have changed that
Mm,
you can chase the division title.
yeah.
I think it's a tall task. I think the Josh Allen injury, as I mentioned, is absolutely what you're monitoring. I
Mm,
still think Buffalo is the best team in probably the division. I still think them and KC are the best two teams, probably either in the league or at least in the conference. Miami's been really impressive. The Jets obviously took care of business against them. They've got some difficult games coming up, as do the Jets. The New England game is massive for the Jets for two reasons. One, you you've overcome a lot of demons this year. The performances on the road, beating Miami, beating Buffalo. For Zach Wilson's psyche, beating New England and getting
yes.
that off your chest would be massive. It also, as you mentioned, would create a pretty big gap between them and between themselves and and the Patriots. For God forbid it comes down to a conference division record head to head, you'll split. Not only do you get to 7-3 and keep pace with Buffalo, Josh Allen can't go this week. They've got the Minnesota Vikings coming in, who are obviously a good team. If Buffalo loses this week again, and the Jets would be tied for first place. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to say that. I still think it's the way that Vegas has the odds is the most likely scenario. Not surprising. Obviously, Buffalo's big favorites, and then Miami's second, the Jets third. I think people are banking on the fact that Tua has played really well, and I get that. And Tyreek has been fantastic for them. Their defense is a huge issue. Miami and their offensive line and depth are a huge issue as well. So if you're the Jets, keep taking care of business. You have a chance. You have every reason. The playoffs as a wild card is the minimum goal. The 7 seeds the minimum goal now. I think
Yes.
before the year it was, can we sneak in? I would be chasing that 5 seed at a minimum.
Yeah.
And you get Tennessee and Ryan Tannehill, Malik Willis in round one.
Oh, yeah.
Can you get, maybe you get Buffalo or Kansas City, I guess, in round two. I think that's the way it would work out if I'm not mistaken. Maybe I'm wrong. No, maybe, but they get the 3-6. No, they would get the 1.
Yeah, so it doesn't. If I remember my brain
Because
correctly,
usually if
because
you like the
we're in the
lowest
middle.
seed, because
Yeah,
what
the
if
seeds rise. It's not bracket style, so
yeah,
not like the NBA where they're stuck with how they go. It is seeding. So, like again, if the Jets were 5, obviously it depends on 6 and 7, but so there's no guarantee on who they would play because they would need the results of the other games to
yeah.
know.
So my point's just like, can you get to the 5 seed and win a playoff game?
Yeah.
It's just crazy to think if the Jets win against the Patriots a week ago, they're the 1 seed in the AFC right
I
now.
know.
And they have like a 2-game lead on everybody. But beating Buffalo again, I still think in hindsight, the way it worked out is the way you'd prefer it, knowing, okay, we can beat Buffalo and knowing we are better than New England and we have a chance to go beat them again in 2 weeks. Obviously, you would have loved, I
Of
think
course.
everyone said going into this 4-game stretch with New England, Buffalo, New England, Chicago, can you split? I think this
Yes.
was at the beginning of the year. Can you get to split? And they did that. Or they have a chance to do that if they win one of the next 2 games. I think
Right.
you realistically want to can you get to 3-1? I think that's,
Yeah.
you get into, then you get the next 4, and it's Minnesota, Buffalo, I guess Detroit, Detroit, Jacksonville, or something.
Detroit, Jacksonville, I believe. Yes.
Again, can you split those 4? I mean, maybe you get to 3-1 again, but can you split that? Like, can you keep getting yourself in a good position here? And they should win between 10 and 12 games. Like, if Zach Wilson cannot puke all over himself,
Yes.
did against New England, the Jets have a chance to win every football game. Their defense is exceptional. They have a top 3 defense in the league right now. Their offensive line's playing pretty well. They've got great skill guys on offense. They have a good coaching staff. They're young. They play hungry. They've got 3 very winnable home games left. They've got a couple road games that I think they'll either be favored in, or you could give them a solid chance. Wrap up a playoff spot before you have to play Week 18. That'd be the great.
Oh, yeah.
I'd rather not have to have the anxiety of a Week 18 win.
Oh, not that again. Right.
No,
Yeah.
I don't need that. But look, as I mentioned, I think what you saw from the Jets on Sunday is the recipe they're going to have, at least right now, while Zach continues to develop, to win football games. Make the right decisions, make some plays with your legs, complete the throws you need him to, run the ball well, play great defense, turn guys over, win the field position battle. Like, that's the recipe for success in today's NFL, and they're doing a great job. Again, they're going to get really healthy over the bye, you hope. You hope Sheldon Rankins, maybe he only misses 1 or 2 games. You get him back from Minnesota. You should get Fant and Mitchell, or at least one of the 2. I feel like it'll be Mitchell more than Fant. I just feel
I
like
agree.
not hearing a lot on Fant, and Max Mitchell's been working out and all that stuff. Corey Davis should be back, which means now you've got 2 big body receivers that are playing well. You've got 3 guys in Wilson, Moore and Berrios that can operate in the slot. You'll start to feel really good about this team. James Robinson could definitely use a week or 2 off.
Oh, that's for sure.
Healthier. I don't want to be overly optimistic and like hyperbolic, but I just talked about it on my show with Joe, and other than I guess Buffalo or KC, like, do you really fear anybody else in the AFC where like you would go? Not that there's not better teams. There may be better teams than the Jets. Obviously, they didn't beat Baltimore, Cincinnati, backup quarterback or not. If they played them again, you'd like your chances. You like your chances against Tennessee. You like your chances against New England. You like your chances against Miami. The football's crazy this year. Same thing in the NFC. Like outside of the Eagles or maybe the Niners, like, do you really fear anybody? Not really. Maybe Dallas if they're clicking. So when there's not a lot of great teams and you're one of the good ones, you have to feel really good. That's why the Jets didn't sell at the deadline, and they only made some minor moves. But it just sucks if you would have had Brees and AVT. You'd feel really, really good right now. But generally speaking, the division race is not over. It's not unrealistic. It's obviously a long shot, but man, go chase it. Because if you come up just short of the division, that means you're probably the 5 or the 6 seed and playing a playoff game in January.
Again, I agree with you. Well, I think the Jets have a top 2 defense, and I don't think they're number 2. So, wink. Let's leave that as it lies. Let us address the other part of the headline here. You've hinted at it. The Jets with a big injury. In case you guys missed it, veteran defensive lineman Sheldon Rankins, former first rounder, the former number 12 overall pick by the New Orleans Saints back in 2016, who had kind of a wayward year last year, and this year a major bounce back. Now, a name that, again, you're not hearing the Quinnen Williams, Jermaine Johnson, you're hearing all those big names, but Sheldon's been balling out this year. A dislocated elbow. That sounds disgusting. And he's expected to miss somewhere in the ballpark of 4 to 6 weeks, according to Jeremy Fowler. However, Robert Saleh said today that they're not making any IR decisions, so they don't have to because of the bye. So it's kind of a nice little benefit of the timing here. And we'll see what ultimately they missed. I'll be honest, prior to this Rankins injury, I was pounding the table for the Jets to add a little bit more Brutus Beefcake to the middle of this line in whatever form that would have been. Linval Joseph, the Jets kicked the tires on, and a couple others. I'll bring this on from Bengus Garci. Just subscribed. Thank you. Okay. You just made the greatest decision of your life, Bengus. With Rankins injured for 4 to 6 weeks, would Joe Douglas look outside the team or bring in Marshall? Yeah, so that's the big key here is the Jets have 3 interior defensive linemen on the roster right now. When you remove Rankins from the table, you have Quinnen Williams, obviously. You have Nathan Shepard and John Franklin Myers. And then beyond that, you have a couple of guys that could, Solomon Thomas, was the other one. The other 2 you could kind of move around is JFM and Michael Clemens. So I think, and the 2 practice squad guys are Jonathan Marshall and Tansel Smart. Both kind of balled out during a preseason, so it kind of makes sense if they kind of promote either or as a short-term option. So I think they will do that, and I think they will do that in the intermediate. But I would not be surprised if they bring in all Linval Joseph, who that gray-haired bastard, bring him into the fold and just see what you got. I mean, to me, you look at some of those grades over the last couple of years, he's just old reliable, and he's a guy that could come in, and plus they rotate the defensive line. He could fit like a charm. So, Will, what do you think? Should they just promote from inside? Would they go outside the organization? And, again, kind of fingers crossed around this Rankins injury. Again, 4 to 6 is floating out there, but the Jets are hopeful for maybe something less.
So Chris Mortensen, Josh Allen's being evaluated for an elbow injury to his UCL and related nerves per source. Coach Sean McDermott says team hopes to have more info Tuesday.
I just have to say, to go off what you just said, that there is no way you wait 24 hours if it's not bad. Like, I don't know. That kind of gives me the heebie-jeebies, but go ahead.
Well, I'm a diehard Yankees fan. Anyone that follows me knows I'm probably obnoxious at the Yankees.
Yeah.
I'm not saying what I think everyone's thinking about what that could be, but being a baseball fan, when there's an elbow injury to your UCL like that and there's no news right away. It's usually not great. Josh Allen's one of the toughest dudes in the league. I think if he can play through this, however serious it might be, he will. But this is a big injury. If it honestly changes the landscape of the league this year. Josh Allen is actually seriously hurt. Sheldon Rankins being out, I've tried to tell people all offseason. I don't know why there was so much cut Sheldon Rankin stuff to sign somebody else. It didn't make sense. They had paid his roster bonus, and he's a good player. Had some nice moments last year. Had some moments he didn't look great. I think everyone, generally speaking, last year just didn't play well. Like they didn't play to the back of their baseball card, for lack of a better term. Even guys that did play well, and like a Mosley or a Quinton Williams, like weren't even their best. They just weren't bad. So like everyone like they were a bad defense last year.
Right.
I would say probably go with Smart and Marshall at least for a week. That said, if you were going to bring in a Linval Joseph, they may have to move a little money around. They have $3 or $4 million in cap space. I'm sure they can make it work. It's a cut and then bring somebody else in. It's nothing crazy.
Right.
If you were going to bring Linval Joseph in, I would say it's probably best to do so in the next 24 hours. Because
for sure.
You get him ramped up to speed. He gets a week of conditioning with you, then gets a week of practice. Maybe he gets 5, 10, 15 reps against the Patriots. Just saying, if you were going to do it, this is the perfect time to bring somebody in. I think Rankin's, based on the fact that they haven't put him on IR and they're looking to say week to week, I think they're hoping, can we get through the bye, the Patriots game, and maybe he's back for Chicago, or maybe he's, like that's what it feels like. But look, they liked Smart and Marshall. They obviously drafted Marshall, and Smart looked good in the preseason. I think you are going to see Clemens, JFM take up some of the reps. I think maybe you see someone like Nathan Shepard's actually played a decent amount. He had a rough game yesterday. I shouldn't say rough. He had a rough series where Josh Allen didn't exactly. Whatever. Josh Allen makes a lot of guys look not great. It's a big loss, though. He's been a great pass rusher for them. He had the forced fumble on Josh Allen early in the game. I think that's when he actually got hurt, if I'm not mistaken. So we'll see what happens. But if you're going to bring in a guy like Joseph or a body in general, I would do it now. And if you don't, you got to get Marshall and Smart, one of the two, if not both, ready to go for New England, because New England runs the heck out of the football. And it's the one way they're going to beat you now is Ramondre Stevenson running people over, or Damian Harris. And you need a lot of those bodies inside if you can. I don't know if you want to play Clemens and JFM like strictly as defensive tackles. They're still undersized. So, and then again, I guess Rankins isn't overly sized as well. But it's a big loss. It's not Quinton Williams, but it's a damn important player to this defense.
Yeah, there's no question about it. He has been a really special piece. Just random side note: how does every fumble this year just go right back to the guy? If you think about it, the first Josh Allen fumble.
Hop on a fumble, please.
Yeah,
your own all the other teams.
Like it was almost the first fumble was like stripping the sausage. Like I think it was Rankins who had the forced fumble, and he just kind of grabbed him by the top of the arm and whoop, and got that ball out. And for a second, it felt like a long second. It was hanging out there in the ethos. And Josh Allen just scoops and la 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 walking down. I'm like, what the hell? And then the second one, he gets ripped, and then just fortunately, a Bills offensive lineman jumps on it. So the Jets have had a lot of forced fumbles this year, but then the other players just jump on it. So hopefully that luck kind of bounces the other way. They've been fortunate in other situations as well. And good message here, 19 NY Jet 69. Let's hit that like button, Jet Nation. So let's show it. Dark Soldier giving us the Karoo before the year in the Hunt graphic. Yes, the Jets are firmly in on that for all those people. I see some people saying, let's go for the number 1 seed. Yeah, I'll take a buy on that. Yes, please. That's been fantastic. Move Clemens inside again. I think situationally they have already this season, but I'm not sure that's the permanent decision moving forward. We'll kind of evaluate there on the Sheldon Rankin situation. Also, obviously, keep you abreast on this Josh Allen business, which I think will be interesting as well. I will also say this that I think is also kind of interesting to note here, talking about all this Jet stuff, is as they head into the bye week, I think I'll give credit to Zach Rosenblatt. He was the one who brought it up to him. Xavier McKinney, for those who missed it, New York Giants safety Xavier McKinney. The Giants just enjoyed loosely used, apparently, their bye week this past weekend. And Xavier McKinney releases a statement on Twitter. I'm going to paraphrase because I don't have it in front of me. He went to Cabo and he was screwing around on some ATVs, and he gets hurt and breaks his hand, and he's out for the foreseeable future because he's messing around and doing silly stuff. And by the way, in his contract, it says he can't be either a passenger or rider on an ATV, or else his contract voids, his guarantees void. I don't think the Giants would cut him because he's such a talented player. But still, it goes to the point. that, as Robert Saw was talking about the message here, that this isn't just a freebie bye week. All right, see you guys in Cabo, the stupid, Giants OBJ boat thing from a couple years ago of like taking advantage of that. In this particular case, it's about the Jets just kind of making sure they have the proper scope here. And the important thing is that New England Patriots game, that you're going to get another whack. And man, I don't know if you sense it well from the Jets players that you talked to, but it felt it immediately after. And then once they took care of business against Buffalo, now have 2 weeks December, fans 2 weeks December to enjoy this Bills win, but also to look ahead to that New England game that they believe they let one escape and that they just have a relenting heat, passion, intensity that they want to give it to New England like nobody's business. And who better than the undefeated on the road New York Jets are going to get that opportunity in Foxborough, and they got 2 weeks to think about it. It seems like the players are really circling that. I know they say every game is its own animal and keep the main thing, as Robert Sauer says, but that one feels different.
Yeah, so I was just trying to figure out more on this Josh Allen thing. Of
like, no, yeah. If you get any scoop skis, feel free to share them on the program.
No, I just would. I was just asking some people if they had any idea if they thought it was torn, and said that's what they're waiting on is basically.
Oh, okay.
Just like
on the UCL you're talking about,
yeah,
right?
It makes sense. Obviously, probably on MRIs and results and any swelling and whatever, which makes sense. I remember Breece Hall; they kind of had to wait. They had to wait. Everyone thought it was at the knee, and then we obviously had to wait for it to get confirmed. But yeah, the locker room just is bought into like this isn't not the same old Jets. Like they don't care. They don't care what happened in 2011 or against the Giants. They don't care about 2015 against the Bills. They don't care about mono and like they don't care. They weren't here. These guys were in high school, elementary school, college. Like most of them probably weren't even Jets fans. So they care about the fact that I was saying this on an earlier program. Friend of the show, Jake Asman, at both our shows, he said, what do you think about, guys like Sauce and all his confidence? I'm like, dude, Sauce won 12 or 13 games last year in college and has walked in the NFL and it's been the same old, same old. Like, why would he go, oh, it's the Jets? He doesn't know any better. Michael Carter came in here. Even the guys that were drafted last year, like, oh, it's a rebuilding year. It's 1 year. And then boom, we're good. Like sometimes once it clicks for these guys, like I keep going back to that Browns game. And I've used an example of in my past in high school, my team was very much the Jets of the couple years previous. And, I always found a way to lose the game, all that stuff. And we had a similar game to the Browns game. We were the Browns in that situation. We blow a big lead. We blow a big lead. It's going to be a different year. We blow the lead and the year spiraled. Like we ended up figuring out, but we came up short in a lot of what we were looking to do. The Jets were the opposite, right? This was typical Jets, but when they win that game, you're going, okay. And these guys are going, we're good. And then just, continues on. There's real belief in that locker room. There's an FU mentality to everybody else. Like guys can tell you they don't hear stuff. Everyone hears everything, right? And when all you hear is you suck and you don't suck, you can't wait to tell everyone how much you don't suck. And you don't think the Jets, we saw some of the clips yesterday. You don't think the Jets knew that they were 2 touchdown, underdogs at home against a division rival who they felt like they were just as good as? You don't think that would piss you off? Because it would piss me off. It did piss me off.
Braxton said it after the game, by the way. It's one of the clips I saw from the Jets. He went, 12.5-point dogs at home. Interesting.
Right. And he's going, oh, interesting. We'll see about that.
Yeah.
Keep doubting us. And it's great to see. And as you mentioned, there's just something that feels different about this team a lot. I'm not going to I hate the QB wins thing.
Yeah.
I will give Zach Wilson this credit as whether he's been a passenger or not. And many could argue he probably has been for a lot of these.
Sure.
He's gone to Lambeau and Heinz Field, 2 places that have given the Jets fits and won. Whether those teams are good or not, they're still impossible environments. He's beaten the best quarterback in football. And the other 2 games going into Denver, oh, weird. The Jets, nothing good ever happens in Denver. They still win that game. Beats a Miami team where a backup quarterback comes in, and we know how this goes. We get our eyes set on a victory, and then somehow that guy turns into a superhero. Didn't happen again. So can you go into Foxborough and win a football game and go, I'm 6-1 as a starter. I won a couple starts at the end of last year. And I've gone in kind of all the places that have given Jets quarterbacks a lot of fits in the past. And make it work. So big game in 13 days. But for right now, they're gonna nice 2 weeks worth of good press is certainly warranted.
No doubt about it. So let me go up to the player that caused that Josh Allen injury that we were talking about, Bryce Huff. And again, you never try to injure anybody, but again, he's been this closer. This guy that, again, was a healthy scratch at the beginning of the year has worked his way into the rotation, and for good reason. And I saw you advocating for him on Twitter to get paid. A TOJ podcast guest, might I add, high on his resume, old Bryce Huff. And believe it or not, I'm asking because I don't know off the top of my head, but I believe so. Bryce Huff is scheduled to be a free agent next year. Is that correct? Unrestricted?
He is. I think.
Wow. So, yeah, let me double check on that just to check that.
Maybe he is on. No, well, I guess James Robinson would be in the same boat, right? Because
yes, that's right. So let me double check.
He's a restricted free agent, but he's going to need to get paid, and someone's going to tag. Some team's going to pay him money if the Jets don't. I'll tell you that one. Every stat is very glamorous toward Bryce Huff.
Yeah, so let me clear that up. Yeah, as you mentioned, same situation as James Robinson. Again, undrafted free agents. He is a RFA for 2023, which again just basically means that either the Jets are going to get high draft compensation for the RFA tag they place on him, either first or second round, or he's just going to come back super cheap for the Jets. But that's long-range projection here. Should the Jets be proactive here? And I'm not saying JFM level extension, that's a lot of money, but what does it look like? Should they sign this guy as soon as possible? And if so, what does that contract look like? Because again, for a guy like Bryce Huff, for instance, I have his career numbers in terms of contract ahead of me. When he was an undrafted free agent out of Memphis, he signed a 3-year deal for $2.3 million, a $15,000 signing bonus. $15,000. And again, I'm not trying to cry a river for an NFL player here. He had $90,000 totally guaranteed. I mean, he's due for a contract bump. What does that look like? Kind of walk us through it, because I saw you were a loud advocate for Huff to go get his money.
Yeah, I'm a big Bryce Huff fan. He's been great to the show. So I would say maybe you look at a Bryce Huff deal of like a 3 for, I don't know. You look at maybe Jacob Martin's deal.
Okay, what, 3 for 13 and a half?
3 for 13 and a half, because he's a guy that's going to be more of a third down rusher. So if you're not going to play 3 downs, you're not going to get as much money. Bryce Huff can play
snap percentages. Yeah,
he can play 3 downs. Like, he had good numbers against the run last year, but he obviously is their third down rusher. I don't know. Maybe you see him $4 or $5 million a year. I think maybe that's. Okay. I know Connor Rogers mentioned it. I think there was multiple reasons that Jacob Martin got moved. We saw Jermaine Johnson, shout out to him, friend of the show, that he got to, get in on the action yesterday. You want to see him play more. But maybe that's to free up the Martin money, for next year for Bryce Huff to get extended. Obviously not pinching pennies here, but you're not going to have Martin and Huff that are kind of the same exact player. Huff's better, obviously, but you're not going to have 2 of the same exact player on the roster to do the same thing and pay them each $4 or $5 million a year. So, but I'm sure it'll be a typical front-loaded Joe Douglas contract with minimal guarantees after year 2, and it'll probably be in the 3-year range because he loves a 3-year.
Oh yeah,
2-year guaranteed. Third year is a wash. Maybe something in the Martin deal, maybe in that 3 to 12 to 3 to 15 range, depending on how the rest of the year goes. If he continues to produce, and then maybe it's more. But I think you're looking at a guy if he's going to be a third down rusher, he'll get paid as a premium kind of specialty player, similar to how Barrios did, where it's like they get the top of the market at a specialty position.
Right, and that one, 2 for 12, but again, a nice kind of value for what the player is. Let's get a YouTube super chat in here. NY2FLA Jets fan. Hey, boy and Will, love Mondays. You and Will are the best. Thank you. He and my boy Jeter were cheering for us in the Jets for damn sure. Again, it was nice to see, and also just kind of Huff in general to build off of that conversation. Again, NY2FLA, thank you so much for doing that as well. We absolutely love it. That's fantastic. So thank you so much for the super chats. It means the world when you guys support the show like this. Yeah, and thanks for that, NY2FLA. And I'll just say in general that Huff has just been an exciting player, and I give all the credit in the world because Connor Rogers, who covers the draft, I know he no longer does it for Bleacher Report, so he's doing his draft stuff for NFL Stock Exchange. I'm looking forward to everything they're going to kind of cultivate over the draft offseason coming in here. But he was all over it, said, I cannot believe, Connor Rogers at the time, that Bryce Huff was a free agent. I had him as a 5th-round pick, an undrafted free agent is what he ended up being, signed with the Jets. Not only made the 53, but has kind of carved out this nice role here. I think that's the thing that really stands out to me, Will, about why this season in particular for the New York Football Jets at 6-3 right now, that feels different than 2015. 2015 felt like borrowed time from old men, and that we were just, let's chase this thing and see what happens. It was spectacular in a lot of ways. Brandon Marshall, Eric Decker, Chris Ivory, Muhammad Wilkerson, Fitzpatrick's magical year. This just feels so much more sustainable. The depth, we're seeing these body blows, and even more than body blows of Breece Hall, AVT, and all these injuries that have happened, yet the Jets are able to overcome all of these, and they beat the Buffalo Bills without a lot of those weapons. This feels like, to me, the start of a run for the New York Jets with Sauce Gardner and all these young cats on this team, that the Jets can achieve so much more. That it doesn't feel like one winning season in 11 years for the 2015 team. This seems like the start of something that can be magical for a long time. I know before the year, a lot of people said, 2023, maybe the Jets can compete at that point. Like, screw your phony, made-up, imaginary lines of when you believe the Jets are going to be ready. Again, what are we going to school to be, a doctor? We don't need 8 years anymore, man, to figure this thing out. I think the Jets are in a position for long-term sustainable success, and that's refreshing and makes this seem right now that much more better, knowing that Breece is coming back next year, AVT is coming back next year, for everything they're building on right now in this very moment.
Yeah, at the end of the day, look, it's just, young roster. And there is obviously veterans, and it's not all rookies and first, second-year guys, but the core of this roster, which is ideal, is on cheap, sustainable 4 or 5 year contracts. And it's why, again, it's so important. If Zach can continue to take that next step, you not only are sustainable as a roster, you got the quarterback to continue to build this thing. And year over year, that's why I think it's so important. You can make the playoffs this year. You're a year ahead of schedule. Now next year, everyone's got that playoff experience in tough games, experience with their backs against the wall. And now everyone makes the year 2, year 3 leap. You get a couple more draft picks in here, a couple free agents. Maybe you make the trade, the big trade, the Tyreek Hill, Diggs, whatever. I'm not, maybe it's not a receiver, but whatever it is.
No, right. Yeah.
Whoever that guy is. And you're feeling really good about where you're at, and you're competing week in, week out with Buffalo, with Kansas City. Like, that's the goal. And, Saleh and Douglas have said it over and over. They want to be a team that competes for titles year after year, not just one-offs. And the Jets throughout their history are kind of always, other than, where they've had this most sustained success, where there was 98 through, I guess 2010, majority of that time there was a lot of those core guys in the 98 team that had, free agents that are older. Obviously quarterback's been the issue, but even, 2002, 2004, I guess 2006, and some of those guys were built through the Revis, the David Harris's, the list goes on and on, obviously.
Yes, right.
But even those Rex teams in 2015 were pretty veteran heavy. It was like a team that was in their window. The Jets are 2 years, a year, maybe ahead of their window, and they're right in the thick of it, which means as much as they continue to develop, that's kind of what happened with Buffalo. They were a year ahead of schedule in 19, and I know they haven't gotten to the promised land yet, but all of a sudden in 2020, when they were an absolute wagon in 2021, and I guess this year, they'd already had experience of playing in playoff games and big moments. And it's like, now we made the one big trade. Josh took the next step, and they've been fantastic ever since. If you're the Jets, that's what you're hoping to do. And continue to develop your quarterback, continue to develop this roster, win games while you're doing it, and you feel damn good about where you're at the end of the year and going into 2023. But we're not talking about the draft, which is amazing in the beginning of November.
Again, I am a big draft guy. I love the draft. My birthday's around the draft. Like, it's been a special time in my life, and I really enjoy it. But I have thoroughly enjoyed. I know nothing about the draft outside of all the great quarterbacks that are coming out, which doesn't matter to me. I have not looked at a mock draft this year, and that feels fantastic. Again, we'll be on here for a few more minutes. Send in your questions, comments, and everything else. Daniel Faust, another YouTube super chat here. What percentage chance are you guys giving against Patriots next week? 50-50. I'll say this. I just pulled up the Patriots schedule, so I saw this question coming in. New England is 2-2 at home this season. They lost to Baltimore, and New England kind of came back in that one. Baltimore was kind of giving it to them good. They blanked the Lions. That's kind of weird. They lost to the Chicago Bears, who gave them the business after that weird Mac Jones, Bailey Zappi thing. And then they just destroyed the Indianapolis Colts, who fired their head coach. So, I mean, the sample size, to be honest, is a little weird. But I'll tell you this, that Foxborough is not this crazy, intimidating place in this edition, in this version of the New England Patriots. Will just brought up that the past Jets and us putting all our baggage on these current players. We're like, what the hell are you talking about? Zach Wilson said during that Tom Rinaldi interview, I never watched a Jets game in my life until I all of a sudden became a part of this team. So in the same sense, the old New England demons, ghosts, and all that thing, while it's a thing for us fans, and we'll talk about it, and that's why this game holds such significance, I'll tell you, the Jets should be looking to go into New England and see what happens. Now, the early line here, as I'm pulling it up on the ESPN analytics, they are considering it essentially 50-50. ESPN FBI analytics favors the Patriots ever so slightly at a 50.8%, according to their advanced analytics. Obviously, a Vegas number is not out for that game. Both teams have a bye week, but I'm going to be honest. I'm going to give the Jets, who are 6-3, the revenge factor, everything else, and quite frankly, just the straight up fact that the Jets are better than New England. Their record's better. They're more talented. I'm going 65-35. I don't know. 70-30 is how I'm feeling heading into that game about the Jets giving the business. Where are you at, Will?
Yeah, it's 50-50 in the aspect of Zach Wilson. When he's coming to performance, he's coming off against the Patriots, and the Patriots have beaten the Jets a bunch of times. From a talent perspective and what I expect to happen, the Jets should roll over they should roll the Patriots. I would implore people to go watch Patriots Colts offensively for the past.
Oh, God.
The Colts are blatantly tanking. They just hired Jeff Saturday as their coach.
How did that happen, by the way? But anywho, yeah.
Just egregious tanking to the highest level. Not sure how Chris Ballard just continues to avert blame here. But regardless.
Yeah, greatest GM ever.
Yeah, greatest GM ever. They've won literally 0 playoff games in this whole time. Yeah, you drafted a good linebacker and running back, maybe and a good guard. Maybe you should have drafted a better quarterback or a receiver. Or
what a stat that is, by the way. 5 years in a row, they had a different starting quarterback week 1. How is that even possible? I mean, what?
Aaron Rodgers. Incoming next year.
Hey, there you go.
So yeah, look, the Jets should beat the Patriots, and then that's that. But they can. I actually think this it feels like a must-win game.
Yes, in a lot of ways. Yes,
I can't go into 2023 with the streaks.
No, I can't do it. I can't do it.
I don't care how they do it. I don't want Zach to throw 12 interceptions. I'm just saying.
Well, of course not. Yes.
If the same game that happened 2 weeks ago and the Jets win, you still take it because you got to get a victory.
Yeah,
here.
win's a win, of course.
Letting Zach overcome those demons. I kind of think this game has a chance to get flexed.
I hope so. Yeah, Will, let's get into that because I think it was NYJ Matt. He's been the guy. Sunday Night Football?
Mm-hmm. Bengals Steelers is the game as of now.
Come on, that's garbage.
It's a bad game. It's just the Bengals are going to win by 30 points. I have no interest in watching Kenny Pickett on primetime. I guess you could say the same about Zach or Mac Jones, to be fair.
I guess that's true. What are your chances, though? Because here's the argument I've heard, because I think Dan Hansis was the one who threw it out. So, like, some people said, so the Bengals are really good, so they're sexy, of course. But Pittsburgh has the major fan base, and that is so attractive to the primetime viewers. But, again, I would counter with the Jets and the New York thing. And, again, there's no effect to it. Jets and Patriots both have a bye, so they're preserved in their natural state right now of 6-3 and 5-4 and everything that they've had. With that rivalry and everything, I don't know. To me, that seems to be more the juice to the counter to that. But what do you say to those people who are saying that in terms of
I'd say New York, Boston's always going to do great ratings. It's a team matchup of two teams that could be playoff teams. And to be honest, I'd much rather watch Patriots Jets, the rivalry there, than the Bengals Steelers. We've seen the Steelers on primetime a lot this year and it hasn't gone great. And the Bengals last time primetime pooped themselves against the Browns. So it was not great.
All right. Well, Will, let's get you out of here. Before we do, of course, I got to give you the platform to, of course, promote all the great stuff you've been having after you set the bar last week. I am sitting back with the old popcorn and seeing what other guests could you have possibly cooked up. I mean, I don't know how you do this. You set this bar so high for yourself. How could you possibly top yourself with what you continue to do? But however, I will give you the opportunity, the TOJ podcast. What's happening with that? And, of course, anything else you have cooking this week.
Yeah, so I have an article coming out this week with Badlands early next week. Maybe I'll drop it on Sunday, but just kind of about the Jets culture change and, some just kind of a lot of things they've worked on, over at One Jets Drive. A couple of Jets, will be on throughout this week or next week. As I mentioned, Will Parks, Justin Hardy, potentially one or two others. Joe Caporoso episode just dropped, kind of recapping yesterday, and then some more to come. But, obviously rate, review, subscribe, and, obviously make sure you, like, Paul's videos, obviously here, and, check us out on the radio on Friday mornings.
Absolutely, that's true. The Man Child Show, me, Boy Green, Will Parkinson dropping some NFL picks and other juicy stuff. He was coming off an incredibly hot week, so he's fantastic. So, guys, make sure you follow him up and hit him up. He's fantastic. Will, thanks for another great week, pal. Appreciate you. There he is, Will Parkinson, everybody. Thanks for joining us for a Monday edition of the show. And I will answer a few more quickies here before we sign off. Let me just run through some of these. And again, shout out to Will for that. Moore, Super Bowl contenders next year for sure, if not this year. Again, I think sometimes we have these runs that people don't expect. The Bengals, we continue to bring up as one of those examples that just went on a run that no one expected. And everything the Jets have travels. The run game, the defense, the special teams. And there's been a few moments like the New England game jumps out to mind as a special teams game that we are not going to remember quite fondly. But again, the point is that you can make things happen. Let's go on a run. Why not? Because I'm so sick and tired of this year, no matter what mountain we climb, people say, well, you're going to lose to the Bills. Jet fans told me that. Bills fans told me that. I'm sick of other people throwing their expectations on me. You're not ready yet. Your team isn't this. Your team isn't that. Well, shut the hell up. My team is all those things. And they're going to beat your Patuki. I called it. I called the Bills win. Raindrop, and I said it was going to happen. And the Jets won against the Buffalo Bills. So, you know what? Let your imagination be the ceiling. Allow yourself to accomplish anything and everything you could possibly hope for. Who knows? Who has the right to tell you anything? I'll give you a quick spoiler alert. Nobody. Let's see what else the Jets can do. So I love the energy. Anthony Joseph, you play to win the game. Hello, you play to win the game. Damn right. I love Herm. Love Herm. Absolutely. Thomas Hunter, Jets wide receiver room for next year. Do you think Wilson be number one, more two, Mims maybe two, then draft the receiver or get a vet? So Corey Davis is under contract for next year, and he's played well. And the money's not crazy. It's like $10 million. And if you cut him, you save like 9.5. But Corey Davis has played so well, you probably want him back next year. Maybe you bring him back on a lesser figure or kind of extend him out on a mini 2-year extension or something. That could be possible. They love Corey Davis in that building. Garrett Wilson is number one wide receiver, unquestioned. He may be number one right now. May not be production-wise, but he's number one. And Elijah Moore is interesting. I think there's a chance they could trade him in the offseason. So this year goes however it's going to go. Offseason where you have all the time and Joe Douglas can then vet all the calls. There's no pressure or deadlines or anything. He can just assess the best deal possible and flip him. That's possible based on everything that's happening. It would suck because Elijah Moore is obviously uber talented, but the Jets have proven they can win games without him. So I would not rule out a potential trade in the offseason. And Mims will be entering a contract year. Could he come back on a I don't even know what that deal would look like because of the inconsistency of his career, but could you bring him back on a very team-friendly deal? I'd be open to it, sure. He's a guy that's been giving it for his team and, kind of laying it all out there. So I would be very open to that for sure. I think it's Garrett Wilson, number one. Wide receiver 2 is up in the air. It could be either Corey Davis or Elijah Moore, depending on the future of both of those individuals. And then Denzel Mims is under contract, so we will see as well. Recipe guy, Pats fan here. Hat tip to the Jets. Great win yesterday. Appreciate that recipe, and let's roll it out and see what happens. Again, New England has had a really good formula of this really good defense. There's been moments where they've obviously had a couple of questionable moments this season with the cornerback play, but Jack Jones has been spectacular. Matthew Judon keeps me up at night. So we will see. We'll have that matchup. I hope it is prime time, as Will Parkinson said. That I think that is deserving. Sunday Night Football, Jets, Patriots, with the momentum and everything that could be on the line. I hope so. The Jets haven't been on Sunday Night Football in a long time, and I've said forever that's my favorite production. There's Monday Night Football, Thursday Night Football, Sunday Night Football, and all these other ones. I just feel like Sunday Night Football nails it. I love Chris Collinsworth. I know he's a polarizing guy for people. I like Chris Collinsworth. I like the broadcast. I love the graphics. I love the presentation. And Sunday Night Football feels super special to me. Monday Night Football is getting some of it back with Joe Buck and Troy Aikman, but I think Sunday Night Football is the king. Trin the Great. I don't want to scroll back. Which defensive lineman got injured? That is Sheldon Rankins. He's the one who got injured. Out anywhere between 4 and 6 weeks. Again, the Jets are hoping that it ultimately ends up being lesser. It was a dislocated elbow. Salah refused to call it dislocated, but the national reporters have called it dislocated. So we'll see on that. All right, everybody, there you go. There's a comment getting in here. Thank you so much for supporting the show, guys. It's been fantastic. all year long, and we've really appreciated the support. It's been a great year, of course, for New York Jets football. Enjoy the bye week, but just because it's the bye, just as Robert Saleh said, we don't take no vacations. We're not going to Cabo. We've got some special guests that'll be joining us this week to talk about the Jets and setting expectations. We got a couple spectacular guests lined up. We'll see how it all works out. So again, guys, make sure you like the video, hit subscribe down below. It's absolutely free to do, and make sure you hit the bell notification so you never miss a video. Not every video is cross-streamed on the Heavy on Jets page, but every video, of course, comes through the YouTube channel. So make sure you go there so you never miss a vid. You guys are the friggin' best. The Jets, 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 Jets. We're coming to bust your parties. We're coming to bust all your predictions. And of course, guys, check out the receipts. That's also on the YouTube video. You want a couple laughs? Unfortunately, we had put a few Jets legends on blast. Lavernius Coles, I'm sorry, man. Wayne Corbett, sorry, man. Okay? It sucks that two legends, of course, for the Jets organization had to get blasted, but I'm going to be honest. Sorry. No one is safe from the receipts. So if you guys want a few laughs, and Brady Quinn, we revisited that one now that we're 9 weeks of the season, 9 weeks where he said they'd be 1-8 or 0-9. 6-3 is what they are, Brady. So guys, check out that video if you want a good laugh. It's also on our Twitter account at BoyGreen25 as well. All right, thanks everybody for tuning in, and we will see you later this week right here on the Heavy on Jets Facebook page, my YouTube channel, and my Twitter account at BoyGreen25. Peace out, baby. Enjoy your Victory Monday, folks.